let's go ahead and get started here. This notes today, if you can tell, wow, these are really detailed notes today. And I'm going to be very serious. All we need to work on today is knowing how to use that formula forward and backwards. Just like yesterday, right? When we were calculating mean, we were learning how to do it forward. Y'all were happy in terms of how to do it forward. Y'all were like, man, I can do this all day. Then I flipped the switch, started doing it backwards. Then half of y'all were like, hey, coach, I'm gonna. But then obviously we stuck it out. We went through it. And at the end of the day, we felt pretty confident. Even though half of y'all really wanted to stab me in the beginning of class, I forgive you, don't worry. So we're gonna do the same thing today. I expect to fully survive. And so write that down. The area of a triangle is half of its base times its height. 1/2 times base times height. Gracie, I'm just making fun of yesterday. When I first introduced working backwards with mean, half of y'all were, I could feel the energy, you guys trying to kill me. But yeah, it all worked out. Yeah, and the person who just reached out to me in the private chat, the answer is yes. Just text me directly and I'll go ahead and take care of you first thing in the morning, okay? All right, cool. So once you have the formula written down, just go ahead and say ready. I'm just gonna go ahead and explain what the base and what the height of a triangle really are, just to make sure that you understand this and we're good to go. All right, so let's take care of business here. So when you're looking at a triangle, everybody, these are both triangles. I mean, I think you all know what a triangle is, a three-sided shape. Now, I wanna make sure that you understand really what the height is, because I don't want you believing this. Sometimes people get this confused. Sometimes people might say, hey, this is our base, and this right here is my height. Everybody, is that correct? No, right? That is not correct. Not correct at all. So I want to make sure I introduce you to this right over here. Let me go ahead and use red, much easier color. And then let me go ahead and do this. That right there, that is your height. All right.
And really quick, before we continue my math party people, I know you're enjoying this, and you can have thousands of problems just like this in our program. In our program, you have 4 main things to help you succeed and more. But mainly in our course, you're gonna get access to recorded lessons, you're gonna get access to guided practice just like this, worksheets that you can print out and try or keep them online. And lastly, speed drills to raise your confidence. That way when you take the test, there's no test anxiety, there's no pressure, because you've been timed before, you know what to do, and that's the feeling that we want. And all of that's included in our program and more. So take a brief moment, click the link here in this video or in the description to learn about the program, and then reach out to us if you have any questions. Sign up now, let's get going, and let's get back to the problem.
The height is literally the straight up and down distance on a triangle from the base. So that could be the height right there. One thing I definitely want to make sure you understand as well is if I were to go ahead and say that this is the base, then this right over here, this would technically be the height, as long as it's a right angle. So this may not be too important for today's class, but I do want to make sure you understand that. And actually, let me phrase it this way. Everybody, if I were to hold up a triangle, and I did not prepare for this, but we're going to do this anyway, because I just did a lesson for this for the kids this morning. So can we all agree that if I'm holding a triangle like this, that this right over here is the base and that is the height, right? This right here is the base and then the up and down is the height. Now, here's the thing. If I wanted to, I could also say that this right here is the base and then the straight line, as long as I hug this as a right angle, I could say this is the base and then that right there is the height. I could, because if I just rotate it, it's true. So all I'm trying to say, everybody, is that your base and height, any side of the triangle can be the base. Not any side can be the height, but any side can be the base, and the height is basically the straight line extending away from the base. So that's really all I'm trying to say. If that didn't make too much sense, don't worry. not really important for today. It is going to be important when we do math knowledge, when it comes to triangles and right triangles and all this good stuff. But for right now, not terribly important. But did that make sense? Yes or no? The base and the height is basically any side of the triangle is the base, and the height is basically the distance from the base to the peak. That's it. Cool. And so if we have a right triangle like this one over here, just know, and this is going to be important for today's class, just know that if you have a right triangle, and again, all a right triangle means is that you have this little thing right here, this right angle, a 90-degree angle. This could be your base. And then technically, yeah, the side is the height because it is going straight up and down, because it is. That's right, Kathy, 90 degrees. That is right. That is right. So with that said, now once you're done, adding in those annotations with the drawing over here, go ahead and give me a ready to go or all good. Because what we're going to do up next is, again, this is going to be a very straightforward class. Notice how I'm not giving you, a ton of notes. We're specifying area word problems with triangles. Am I going to throw some curveballs in here today? Maybe some unit conversions, maybe just some simple paying attention to what the problem is asking you to find, right? So am I preparing you for some of the moments you'll hate me for in today's class? Absolutely. And I'll tell you when we're coming back to those moments. So here we go. Let's have a little guided warm up here. So we have that formula, right? Area equals half base times height. I'm going to give you a nice minute here just to go ahead, tell me what I need to do and how to do it. Just type ready when you're ready in the chat box. And if you want to type it out beforehand, and then when I say go, release your explanation. But I want you to basically structure it like this. What am I looking for? What information am I given? What do I need to do? That's it. Before you give me an answer, because I don't care about what the number answer is, I don't care. I want you to tell me how to do this. So go ahead and take a minute. I'm going to start the timer right over here. And it started. And again, all I care about really, truly is an explanation. First things first, always when it comes to all word problems, what is it that we want? And again, that's always found in that question sentence. Always, always, always. So right here, boom, we want what is the area of the triangle? And so the question gives away exactly what we're trying to find. Gives it exactly away in terms of the math that we might need to do too. We have right here, it says area, and we are given the shape. Every shape has its formula for the area. And so we know the one for triangle. It's half of the base times the height. So we're looking for the area. And that's going to be 1/2 of the base of that triangle times its height. Okay, so we're taking a look here and it says, hey, we have a triangle. It has a base that measures 3 feet and a height that measures 4 feet. What is the area of the triangle? Sounds good. So step 2, what is it that we have? Again, what you want to do here, write down your information, write down the units, make sure you're paying attention here because we're looking for the base and the height of the triangle, and that's given to us exactly. It says base equals 3 feet and the height equals 4 feet. And so I'm just go and highlight that first right there. Again, base 3 feet and then the height right here, that'll be 4 feet. So with that, booyah, plug in your values and you're good. So step 3, the connection, fill in your formula and solve. Okay, so one thing that I want to make sure that folks understand about when it comes to multiplication is this. Everybody, what's another way to do multiplying by half? What's another way to multiply by half? What's an easier way to say it? Like if you're multiplying by half, so this right over here, if you're multiplying something by half, okay, yeah, you're multiplying it by 0.5. And when it comes to division, What's another way that you could say multiply by half? Divide by 2. So I want you guys to write this down. I want you to write this down. Right over here. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. Okay, multiplying by half is the same as dividing by 2. And so for those of us joining us slightly later than usual, welcome in, Coach Anderson here. We're going to be reviewing triangle word problems in today's class, all right? So get ready to have a great class. But we're back on this problem here, and I want you to write that down again, basically saying when you're multiplying by half, that's the same as dividing by 2. And another thing that I want to go over is this. Everybody, is it super convenient to divide a 3 by 2, or multiply a 3 by half, or multiply by 0.5 with a 3? Is it super convenient? Right, not typically. It's not typically convenient to multiply odd numbers by half or divide odd numbers by 2. Not really convenient. Also, everybody, is it true that if you have 2 times 3 times 4, let me just zoom in on this, is that the same thing as 4 times 2 times 3, right? Could you rearrange multiplication any way you want? Absolutely, right? 1 times 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2 times 1. Same deal, same stuff. So let me go ahead and just show you how you can avoid spending extra time on the problem. Right over here, you can understand that you can just do 1/2 times 4 first. Since everything's being multiplied, you can pick whatever convenient situation you want first. Again, you can pick the situation that you want first, because when you're multiplying straight up, order doesn't matter. So everybody, if I multiply 4 by half or divide 4 by 2, what do I get? That's right. Yep, I'm going to give you 2. Exactly. So that was the more convenient situation, because if you looked at the 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Then you're doing 1.5 times 4, and you might be tempted to write something down on a piece of paper. Not necessary, not necessary at all. So boom, we have area equals, and that's going to be 2 times that 3, area equals 6. And in this case, because we were dealing with feet and feet, that's feet squared. So who here understands where I went through with the simple arrangement for the multiplication? Who understood that part where I said, hey, you don't have to do the half times 3. You can use the half times 4 first, then bring it back. Who here understood that? All right, cool. So when that situation brings itself up in class today, anytime it does, I'll make sure to pause and show you again. Hey, make it convenient, make it convenient, make it convenient. Now, there we are. And so the answer would be in square feet or feet squared, because remember, area is 2-dimensional. So your units, 2-dimensional, squared. So boom, right there. And there's your answer, A. Not every problem, Sean, because again, it always depends on what you're trying to do. Always depends on what you're trying to do. So let's go ahead here. Yeah, the answer is in square feet. Again, area is 2-dimensional. So let me go ahead and actually write this example for you right here, guys. I got you. I got you. So if we're just looking at perimeter, which is just straight up distance, that would be feet. When you're looking at area, that would be your units squared. So that would end up being feet squared. And then when it comes to volume, let me just give myself a little more room. Volume, we're giving ourselves cubic feet, because volume is 3-dimensional, 3D, and those units would be cubed. Jacob, not wrong at all. No, not wrong at all. Yeah, so, oh yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Thank you, Jacob. So just to go ahead and reiterate here, let me just reiterate this and then we're moving on. So another way you could rewrite this could be, hey, you can just have everything in the numerator, so the 1 times 3 times 4, or just 3 times 4, you could put it over 2. Yep, same deal, Jacob. You'd absolutely be right. And you could still see the cancellation right over here, where you can say, hey, we can cancel those and make that 2 and 1. So it's 3 times 2 over 1, which is 6. For sure. Yep, absolutely, Jacob. You could have done that. Good question. Natavia, no, you didn't miss anything else. Just the area formula. So now we're going to do everybody going ahead and moving forward. Let's go ahead. Let's get another one. So this one, again, I'm going to give you a minute. If you want to go ahead and try to solve it, sure. But if you have time afterwards to formulate that explanation, let's see what you got. We'll go over this one quickly after the fact, and then we're going into potentially working backwards. So get ready for it. So first of all, as always, start with the question. What do you want? What do you have? What's the connection? If you're sitting here right now thinking that this is easy, don't worry. Again, you know how I do things. We're going to go ahead and kick it up in a bit. But number one, again, what do we want? Always start there. Start with the mechanics. What is the area of the triangle? So we're dealing with a kind of formulaic problem. So right over there, we're saying, hey, we want the area. And everybody, I'm going to be annoying. Write out the area formula for a triangle in the chat box. Go. What is the formula for the area of a triangle? Type it out. And pay attention to detail. I don't want to see 1/2 BH. Go ahead and write out area of a triangle equals 1/2 times the base times the height. I want to see that written out. Again, the more you pay attention to detail in the beginning, the less you'll have to struggle to remember those details later on. So let's go ahead and again, just put in the work now so we don't get work later. That's it. Cool. And then, to yourself, say it a couple times. A triangle's area, 1/2 of the base times the height. Say it like 3 or 4 times. It's all good. Again, give yourself every opportunity to learn this because it'd be a shame if you forgot this. You don't get a formula sheet on the ASVAB. Do what you got to do. So yes, it's going to be 1/2 of the base times the height. And this one's pretty straightforward because we just have to identify the base, identify the height, just like the last problem. And we see that that's going to be right here, base 10 feet. And then right here says the height 4 feet. Okay, great. So we'll plug that in here, plug that in there. And now we're good to go. So 1/2 times 10 times 4. And there we are. So that's going to be the area of this triangle that we're looking at. And again, just like we showed in the last problem, you could absolutely write this like 10 times 4 over 2. That really is the same thing. That really is the same thing. Again, multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So you could put that multiplication divided over 2. Absolutely could. So with that said, there we are. And so we'll get 10 times 4, which is going to be 40. And then from there, divide by 2. And that's going to give you 20. And so there we are. And so we have our answer being the area equals 20 square feet. It's easier that way for you, Rachel? Gotcha. I'm going to go and lower that a little bit. Sounds good. Glad to see it. Oof. Yeah, if that's easier for you to see, I'm for it. I'm absolutely for it. Go ahead and thank Jacob for that. Jacob went ahead and expressed that. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's actually, thank you. So appreciate you, Jacob. Thanks for asking the question. Again, we all get better. The answers are in square feet. So the answers are saying square feet. So you can go ahead and write it like that, like this, like this, or like this. These are all the same way of saying it. Yeah, those are all the same way of saying it. So the SQ with the dot, that's basically shorthanding for square feet. You can say square feet literally. You can say feet squared with the exponent, or feet squared like that. So it depends on, again, like I said to the person who asked the same question to Alicia, it depends on what the question's asking us to do and what information we have to deal with. So if it just so happens that we're doing it that way, hey, as long as the math checks out, the math checks out. But you got to make sure you're supposed to do that first. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next one here. Quick reminder, everybody. How do we convert feet to inches? And how do we convert feet to yards, everybody? Just maybe there's a reason I'm asking this. Maybe I did warn you about potentially throwing some little curveballs in here. So remind me, everybody, how do we convert feet to inches? Let's start with that first. Remind me. How do we convert feet to inches? Help me out here. Okay, help me out here. So 1 foot is equal to how many inches? Right. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And so what we see right over here, my math part of people, is this. If you want to go from feet to inches, you multiply by 12. If you want to go from feet to inches, multiply by 12. If you want to go from inches to feet, how do you go from 12 to 1? Well, you divide by 12. If you want to go from inches to feet, just take a look at the relationship. 1 foot equals 12 inches. And so you could kind of tell, hey, 1 to 12, hey, you multiply. So feet to inches, multiply. Inches to feet, divide. But it's the same number. Notice it's the same number. And I do have an entire class recording and an entire strategy video on converting units every single time correctly. So if you guys want to watch that video, I can go ahead and find it on my YouTube channel, and I can post the link into the chat box for sure. But number 2, how do we convert feet to yards? How do we convert feet to yards? Well, everybody, how many feet are in a yard, or how many yards are in a feet? Which way is it? How many are there? 3 what? 3 yards in 1 foot, 3 feet in 1 yard. Which way is it? Yeah. 3 feet is 1 yard. That's right. And so here again, if you want to go from yards to feet, multiply by 3. If you want to go from feet to yards, you divide by 3 right there. And again, this is a very, very shorthand way of doing it, but please go ahead and take a screenshot of this. This may or may not be important for today's class. That's right. So from feet to yards, you would actually divide by 3. Because every 3 feet that you have is supposed to crunch down to 1 yard. So if you have 6 feet, you got 2 groups of 3. You divide by 3 to get the 2 yards. And again, I do have an entire video on that. I will find that when I time you for the next problem. I will. Okay. So hopefully I give you enough opportunity there. Let's go ahead and get into this next one. Again, always go straight to that question sentence. The who, what, when, where, why, how many, which of the following. Those are always indicators of a question. And obviously a question sentence has a question mark, right? Has a question mark. So right here, what is the base? Sounds good. And I noticed in the beginning of the problem, it says triangle. So the area of a triangle is that square inches. There's its height. What's the base? So what we're looking for again is the base of the triangle. Now, be very careful here. First, obviously, hopefully those of us that said we're looking for the area understand that the question did not say that. The question said, what's the base? So again, I really want y'all to pay attention to those details because I don't want you trying to calculate the wrong thing here. Now, number two, what's going on here is, well, we need to know what information we have to figure out what we're supposed to do. I don't want you guys assuming that we need to use the area formula until you read that you're looking for the base of a triangle and you have the area of the triangle. Once you see that, then yeah, get excited. Get excited because you know that the base of the triangle, it's included in the formula. That's how you know you're supposed to be using the area formula. Again, one more time, pay attention. We're looking for the base of the triangle. And then right here, we have the area of said triangle, and we give the number. So what do we have? We have the area, again, of that triangle being equal to 40 square inches. But remember, everybody, write it out one more time. What's the area formula for a triangle? Go ahead, please and thank you. Type it out for me, please and thank you. Do yourself a favor. 1/2 of the base times the height. That's correct, exactly. And so when you take a look, again, this is how you can verify that you're good to go, that you're good to set things up and good to calculate. A piece of information that you're given is directly related to what you want. Again, you're given the area, and the formula for area includes the base. That's how you know you're supposed to be setting up an area formula. You're not trying to find the area, you're setting up the formula. You're trying to find the base. So let's fill in what we have here. The last piece of information that I'm going to write, I'm going to do this in, I'll do green. The height is 5 inches. We definitely want to write that down. Okay, so let's go ahead and set it up. Have a good day. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Kingsley in. So here we go. Area, which is 40, right? The area is 40. So I can go ahead and replace area with right there, 40. Then we have 1/2 times, we're looking for the base. We're looking for the base. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write B for base, no problem. And then times the height. The height that we're given, boom, is 5 inches. So we'll write that there. So another way that we could write this down, everybody, if we wanted to, could simply be like this. 40 equals 5b over 2. Because remember, we can write these things here that we're multiplying together up top in the numerator, and then the 2 is still being divided on the bottom. So before I continue, does everybody understand how I got this right here? Does everybody understand how I got that right over there? And I'm happy to explain it again. Just let me know if you understand how I got there. All I did was change the b times 5 times the 1/2. I just did it to 5b over 2. 5 times b over 2. That's all we're saying. Again, yeah. So Jacob, this is your strategy. Jacob, remember, you said, hey, can we just multiply these two numbers right over here, put them up top, and then divide by the 2? That's exactly what you said. Boom. 5 times b over 2. That's all we did there. And so when we're here, let's go ahead and solve. So we treat this like an equation, and we're just going to work backwards to get to where we want to be. So given what we have, notice that we are dividing by a 2, and we're also multiplying by a 5. So first of all, everybody, let's just take a look at that 2. How do we get rid of dividing by 2 when it comes to solving equations? Yeah, I want you to be specific here. How do you get rid of the dividing by 2? Be specific. Multiply by 2 on both sides. Absolutely. Absolutely, right there and right there. Booyah. Cancels on the left, on the right side. And so we have 2 times 40, which is 80, equals 5b. All right, lastly, we just have that 5 in the way. Got to get that 5 out of there. Right now, it's currently multiplying with that b. So everyone, be specific again. What should we do to get rid of that 5 that's on the b? Because again, we're trying to get the b by itself. We want to know what the base is.
Let's be real, my ASVAB party people. You're enjoying this YouTube video, but why don't you join me for a free class? I host a free class once a week for 2 hours. So imagine 2 hours of free ASVAB math instruction by yours truly. We get to ask questions, grow with me, raise your score, and get the job you want. So go ahead, click the link here or in the description to sign up for free. And from there, I'll see you in the next class. But until then, let's get back to the math party.
Correct. Yep, divide 5 on both sides. Divide 5 on both sides, and we are set. So right there, cancels out, whoops, cancels out, giving us B equals 80 divided by 5. And if you divide 80 by 5, you can do long division, or you can use some mental math, but what that'll be is 16. And it's just the base. So if you're asking if the answer is supposed to be in square feet, no, the base and the height are just in feet. It's the area that's in feet squared. So you take a look here and you have 16 for the base. It's just going to be 16 feet, or excuse me, inches. Sorry about that, guys. It's just going to be inches in this problem, not inches squared, not inches squared. It'll just be inches. And so there's our answer. And we'll get C, 16. So before I ask you if that made sense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to review it one more time. Okay, I'm just going to take you through the main details and then the main points of the calculation, and we're moving forward. So before I begin, everybody get ready to type into the chat box. Get ready to type into the chat box. First of all, step number 1, we want to know what the question is. We want to know what we're looking for. Everybody, do you understand that if you look at the question sentence right over here, we're supposed to be finding the base of this triangle? Yes or no? Do you understand that? First step, we're looking for the base of the triangle, not the area. We're looking for the base. All right, sounds good. So from there, we move into step 2. Step 2 basically says, hey, what information do we have here? What information do we have? What clues are we given? So everybody, next question, yes or no? Do you understand that the problem gives you the area of the triangle, that 40 right there, and the height of that same triangle, which is 5? Yes or no? Do you understand that part right there? That's all I wrote down in step 2 here. I wrote the area was 40 square inches and the height is 5 inches. Now, step 3. Step 3, do you understand, based off of the notes that you took today, do you understand that if you're asking me, hey, coach, is there a formula for the base of the triangle? The answer is yes, because the problem gives you the area, and the area formula of a triangle includes what we're looking for. It includes the base right here. Area equals half of the base times the height. The base that we're looking for is included in that formula. Yes or no? Does that make sense? All right, so moving from there, what we did next was, hey, we got the formula, right? We know what the area is. They told us it's 40. They told us it's 40. We don't know what the base is, but again, that's what we're looking for. But we do have that height. That height right here is 5. So everybody, do you understand that what we did from here to here is we simply went ahead and plugged in the numbers that we have. 40 for the area, then 5 for the height. It's still the same formula. We just plugged in what we knew. Boom, right? Sweet. So then the next question might be, how do we go from here to what's over there? All that, right? How do we get to all this? All I said was this, look, if you're doing a fraction like 1/2 times b times 5, you can treat these, if you want to see it this way, you can treat these like they're over 1. And when you're multiplying fractions, remember, you multiply all the numerator stuff together, multiply all the denominator stuff together. So when you're doing this, 1 times 5 is still going to be 5 no matter what. And 5b, or b times 5, that's the same thing as just saying 5b up top. And then when you have the 2, 1, and 1, 2 times 1 is going to be 2. So you just keep that 2 right there. So does everybody now understand how we go from here to this right here? Hey, Eliana, I appreciate the kind words. Eliana, I hate that you had to say that. You know, I wish that everybody's teacher was amazing. I wish that everybody's teacher was able to, you know, exert the patience and teach everything the right way. Wish that was the case, but I appreciate it though. So with that, now from here, now that we're here, notice that we have an equation We have a variable we're trying to solve for. So now the work now is to get rid of everything around that variable so we can figure out what it is. B means base. We're trying to find the base. So does everybody understand that we need to work backwards now and get rid of those operations, the multiplying by 5, the dividing by 2? We just have to get rid of that to figure out what B is. Yes or no? So this is essentially, remember how I told you guys, identifying the question, writing the information and making a plan, and then calculating quickly. This is step 3 of word problem success. Calculating quickly, making sure you know what you need to do. Making sure you know what you need to do. And so all you're doing is the opposite of what you see. So from here, I'm just going to zoom on over here. All we did was we multiplied by 2 on both sides, because remember, if I divide by 2 and then multiply by 2, those are opposite operations. That's like saying take 5 steps forward, 5 steps back. You cancel out what you did. You end up right where you started. So that's why these cancel out. 2 times 40 gives you 80. And then to get rid of that 5, well, we're just saying, hey, that's 5 times B. So to get rid of the 5, we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. And that's why you see this right here on both sides. That cancels out. And once we do 80 divided by 5, I can go ahead and write it out for us right here. 5 goes into 8 one time. Then 0, 5 goes into 30 6 times. So then you get 16, and that's where my big old head's covering the answer. 16 inches right there. So did that make sense to you from start to finish? Be honest. And if it didn't, where did you get lost in? Was it the setup? Was it the calculation in terms of solving the equation? Or was it something else? Go ahead. All right, so I see a question here saying, how do you know if you're supposed to multiply straight across or work backwards? You got to know how your formula works. You got to know how it works. Because think about it like this. If you're looking at your area formula, let me actually write out the area formula over here. Like, let's just take a brief look at the area formula. Let's just write it like this too. Base times height over 2. Everybody go ahead and write it out like this too. This is a different way of saying it, but it's the same exact thing. Half of the base times height, same stuff, same exact stuff. Feel free to write it that way if you want to. This is also a much easier way for a lot of people to see it. But think of it like this, everybody. If I'm looking for the area, just take a look. If I'm looking for the area, notice how I'm going to have to do all of this here. I got to multiply the base and the height and then divide by 2. But if I'm looking for the base or the height with this formula, I got to get rid of everything around it. I got to then work backwards, multiply by the 2, and then divide by whichever one you don't want. So this is what my answer is to that question. I want you guys to stop trying to memorize and think that the next situation is automatically going to be exactly what we did before. Focus on understanding the formula. Focus on understanding, hey, where do I put the area? Where do I put the base? Where do I put the height? And how can I tell which one I'm missing? How can I tell so I know what to do? We've got to give ourselves that time. Because if we don't, and we just try to memorize and hope for the best, then we truly get stuck and get frustrated. And I don't want that for you. So with that, Jose, that's correct. So if we're trying to find either the base or the height, the steps are the same, right? You would multiply by the 2 on both sides, and then you would divide by whichever one you already have. Yeah. Cool. So let's go and try this next one out, my party people. Let's try this next one out. I want you to go ahead and do this one here. The area of a triangle is that. There's the base. What is the height? Over here. What is the height? So what do we want? The height. And then I have to ask myself, of what? The height of what? I'm checking this out and it says, well, we're talking about a triangle here, right? You read the problem, it says the area of a triangle is blah, blah, blah. The base is blah, blah, blah. But we have the area, we have the base. We're looking for the height. We're looking for the height. So my question really is, are we going to be working forward or working backwards here with that formula? Right, we're going to be working backwards because remember the area formula, you multiply the base and the height, then divide by 2. That's how you get the area. But if you're trying to find the base or the height, you're trying to work backwards using the information that you have. So let's go ahead and really set this up because again, what we have in this problem is right here, area of the triangle equals 112 square inches. So let me just highlight that for you right there. Area, triangle, 112 square inches. So that's where that comes in. And then from there, we see that the base is 4. So what we need to do, everybody, is we need to remember what the formula is, apply it the right way, and move forward. So let's set it up. We have area equals, write it out for me one more time, everybody. What's the area of a triangle? What's the formula? What is, give it to me, go ahead. Half of the base times the height. Appreciate you, Elon. Appreciate you, Small. Jonathan, appreciate you. There we go. Yep, half of the base times the height. Exactly. And so are you guys comfortable with me writing it like this? Are you comfortable with me writing it as base times height all over 2? Would you prefer I write it this way? Right? Might be a little easier, right? It makes things just look clean already. That's exactly what you can do. That's how you can write it. No problem at all. No problem at all. So now that we're here, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to fill in what we have. Let's fill in what we have. So here we go. We'll go ahead and say that the area that we were given right over here is 112. Fill that in. 112. And then that's going to equal our base times height over 2. Everybody hit me. What was the base again? Correct. And then the height, I'll just keep that as h or whatever for the height. And then we have 2. Okay. So we're checking this out here. Now what we need to do is solve. But everybody, is there something that you notice here that maybe we could potentially simplify first? Can we simplify this first if we wanted to? Because yeah, Marie, we could definitely multiply by 2 on both sides. That'll work. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That can work because you can multiply by 2, then divide by 4. Boom, you'll get the answer. But I always preach, hey, if you can deal with smaller numbers, why not? Right? What do you notice about the right side, everybody? I see some people saying it. What do we notice about that right side? Maria, correct. Hilda, correct. Yeah, the 4 and the 2, we can go ahead and divide those. Check it out right here. Everybody, is it true that 4 divided by 2 is 2? That's true, right? Yeah. So we can actually write this as 112 equals 2h. Because 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so, what's the last thing we need to do here, my party people? What's the last thing we need to do? Right, divide by 2 on both sides, and we're good. We're set up for success. So once we do that, boom, divide by 2, and then that will give us h equals. And if you want to do some mental math here, you can just say, hey, what's 100 divided by 2? 50. What's 12 divided by 2? 6. So 112 turns into 56. Boom. And you're set, and you have 56 inches for the height. I know a couple of us were saying, hey, it's 28. I hope you see why. I hope you see why. We gotta remember that too. Gotta remember that too there. But here it is. The answer is D for this guided warm-up here. Gotcha. You didn't simplify this time around. Okay, no worries. Because if you would have multiplied by the 2 on both sides, it would have given you 224. Then divide by the 4. That should have given you the 56 as well. Lewis, you did the setup wrong. Hey, no worries. Again, it's really all about practicing and then noticing those mistakes. Lewis, you did a fine job of that a couple classes ago when we were talking. I forgot what the topic was, but you came back and you were able to identify those mistakes. And by the end of class, you were doing it fairly well. I distinctly remember that. So let's keep going at it in that way where, hey, let's figure out what we're trying to find. Okay, what's the question? Let's write the information down. Is there a formula? Let's set it up and let's go. But we have to make sure we always start with the question, what the goal of the problem is. Because everybody, are you guaranteed the next problem to be about finding the base or the height? Are you guaranteed for that to be the case? Right, absolutely not guaranteed. Not guaranteed at all. So let's not play with our luck. Let's make sure we're paying attention and doing our due diligence every single time. Every time. Got no chance. Got no option. And yeah, Gideon, the way that we got the 2 was right here. 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2. Remember the fractions? The fraction bar right over here. That means divide. So 4h divided by 2. If you have 4 h's and you divide that by 2, you have 2 h's now. And so that's where that came from. That's where that came from. Yeah, Richard Card, you can get the same answer for sure. Yeah, and Rachel, for sure, you can still get the same answer if you would have multiplied by 2 then divided by 4, for sure. That's right, Talisha, that's right. Yep, if you're trying to find the area or the perimeter or the volume or the distance, you know, the number, the thing that stands by itself in the formula, technically you're always working forward. But if you're looking for any of the components, any of the ingredients, you work backwards. That's true for all formulas. True for all formulas. So great questions there, everybody. Great questions. Now we're going to go through another example here in the guided warm-up. And I know we only have a few more to go. Yep, literally one more to go. And then we're going to get into today's practice problems. Now, this is something that I don't do very often. And I'm testing this out to see if this works better than the way I typically do classes. Notice how in all of these guided warm-up problems, we've gone over a different scenario, looking for something different. Look at this next problem out now. I want you to go ahead and try it out, because what we're going to do is when we look at the practice time where I'm just doing rapid fire, timing you, you're going to see that all of these situations have already popped up. And it's up to you to recognize which situation it is and what to do. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes here to try this one out again. Again, I'm not expecting a final answer. I'm expecting to have you tell me how far you got in the process. Do you know what you're looking for? Can you write down all of your information and make a plan? And then step 3, were you able to finalize that plan? I really hope that everybody here can get up to step 2. Can you understand what you need to do to get a final answer? And to get there, you need to go ahead and understand what the story is saying. Go. A lot of us might be tempted to read the whole question, to read the whole problem. Again, like, I don't recommend that because you don't want to get distracted by numbers and things like that. But just start off with the question sentence, okay? The question sentence says, how many of the smaller triangles can fit in the larger triangle? Okay, so before we begin, let's just write this out again. What do we want? The number of smaller triangles that fit, let me highlight that word right there, that fit into the bigger triangle. Okay, everyone, let's just take a quick moment, just take a quick, brief moment to put your pencils down. And I want to ask you this. Can you imagine a situation where you might have a big triangle and you're trying to stack up a bunch of small triangles to fill it up. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that in your head? You got a big triangle and you got a bunch of small triangles and you're trying to go ahead and just fit them into the big triangle. Can we imagine ourselves doing that? Okay. Now, this is where it's very, very, very important to understand keywords and understand terminology in terms of math. So let's flip this to some pure math real quick. Let's flip this to some pure math like this. Everybody, quick question. How many times does the number 2 fit into the number 8? How many times does the number 2 fit into the number 8? Okay, I see a lot of y'all blew up the chat box. I appreciate that. Saying 4. Okay, let's try it a different way. Everybody, how many times does a smaller 10 fit into a bigger 90? How many times does a small 10 fit into a big 90? How many times does 10 fit into 90? Okay, and again, you guys are correct. You got 9, right? Because you can fit 10 nines because 10 nines is 90. Okay. Now, let's just interpret what just happened there. When I asked you how many of one number fits into another number, what operation did you use? You used division, right? To see how many of this fits into that, you used division. Now, let's go ahead and flip the situation back to what we're looking at. When you're trying to see how many of these small triangles fit into this larger triangle, what you're doing is you're dividing. You're dividing the space that the big triangle has by the space of each small one, because it'll tell you how many of those small ones will fit in there. Everybody, does that make sense? Here, when we're trying to figure out how many of the small triangles fit into the big triangle, I'm dividing the big triangle's space by the small triangle space. Okay, so let's get to work here. So what we're saying is then, we're saying we're going to do the bigger triangle divided by the smaller triangle. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. And again, that's going to be the area of each, okay? The area of the bigger divided by the area of the smaller. Because if we're trying to see how much physical space you have, like how many of these fit into that space, space in terms of triangles, that's just two-dimensional. So that's area. Two-dimensional is area. So what you're doing is you're dividing the area of the big by the small, and guess what we have here? Here we see that the area of the small triangle is 6. Sounds good. The area of the larger is 48. Sounds good.
Before we continue, just want to take a quick moment to thank you for watching this video. And all I ask is that you please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That way more people just like you can see these videos. But on top of that, if you're looking for more ways to practice the right way and raise your score with guidance without stressing, then I really wholly 100% recommend my ASVAB All-Access Program. The program, long story short, helps you watch, practice, and master every topic, from the word knowledge to paragraph comprehension, arithmetic reasoning, math knowledge, general science. It's there and it's designed to help you succeed with practicing the right way. So with that said, check out the link in the description to see how it all works, because you're going to have ways to learn in every way that you prefer. And you get my guidance and my support all the way until you pass. So don't hesitate. Stop feeling nervous and being anxious and letting yourself feel that way when there's a solution waiting right here for you. Check out the link in the description. That way you see how it works. And then reach out to me if you have any questions about it. Let's get back to raising our scores.
So once we have that, we'll have ourselves 48 divided by 6. And the answer is what, everybody? Eight triangles, exactly. 8 triangles. Right there. 8 triangles. And that'll be the answer, B. Now, I want to make a very important point. I want to make a very important point. Who here was freaking out, thinking that they had to use half of the base times the height Who here may have accidentally grabbed the 6 and said that's the base, the 48 said that's the height, and just threw them together and sang a Hail Mary? Who here accidentally did that? Jonathan, you almost did, almost caught yourself there. Elon, you did. Talisha, you almost did. Pedro, you kind of had a little anxiety kick in that happened, and that's okay. Again, we're here to make those mistakes here so we don't make them on the test, right? But let's understand why that's wrong. The reason that it's wrong is because notice how the question never asks you to find the area, never asks you to find the base, never asks you to find the height. Now, is it possible that you would have needed to do that at some point in the problem? Maybe. But the question didn't ask you for any part of the triangle. It just said, hey, how many of these triangles can fit into that? That's what they're saying. And that is a key to division. And then you see that they give you the area to work with, but the area is what you needed to divide. And so, yeah, if geometry is challenging for you, again, join the party. There are maybe 4 billion people in the world who struggle with math. It is not uncommon, very common to struggle with it, but let's not let it be a crutch or an excuse to not make progress. So, no, Yanni or Urani, how many is just a key word for asking, like, well, how many? What's the number? What's the amount? The key here was how many of this can fit into the other. So how many of one thing can fit into another? That's a division keyword or a key phrase. That is division. You're welcome. Again, thanks for asking. I always implore you guys to ask those questions. Any other questions before I move on? Any other questions? Going once. All right, sounds good. So here we go. Practice time. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes per question. And to be honest, I'm going to give you 3 minutes per question simply because I want to make sure you have ample time to really, again, dissect the information. What do you want? What do you have? What's the connection? I even stapled it right here on my whiteboard right here. So again, start with the question, take that in, read it like a story. Stop reading it like a robot saying, okay, area. No, read it like, okay, area of the sailboat. Okay, I can imagine a sailboat. Okay, what's the area of that piece? Okay, I can imagine that. Looking for the area of that piece. Is there a shape I'm dealing with? Okay, what do I have? Okay, great. Okay, write that down. Okay. Oh, I know that formula. Let me write that formula. I might need it. Okay, there's the base. I don't have the height. Okay, I don't have the height. Do they tell me about the height anywhere? Any clues? Like be curious. I genuinely want you to be curious as you go through the problem. I do not want you to read it robotically and say, okay, I saw area, I saw triangle. Oh, I see a 6, I see a 12. Okay, let me multiply those. Okay, 72. That's not there. I give up. That's what I don't want, okay? I want you to start off by asking what do you want and read it like a story. So with that said, yeah, be nosy, exactly, be nosy. Samantha, go back to what, right over here? So if you need to take a screenshot of this, please go ahead and take your screenshot. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. I'm gonna set up the timer here for 3 minutes, and then we're getting started right now. 5, 4, take your screenshot. And 1, let's go. Right over here, starting with the question. Again, what do we want? What do we want? So right here it says, hey, if this, remember guys, when it comes to the whole if part of a question sentence, that's just giving you conditions. That's just giving you information. So you can write that down right after the question, but you can ignore that. Again, you want the story of the problem. What's the conclusion? What are we trying to figure out here? And so I see here it says, how much canvas does Oliver need to buy? Sounds good. Exactly. Just look for what they're asking you to find. Exactly. Just look for what they're asking you to find. And it says, how much canvas does Oliver need to buy? Cool. Sounds good. So what does that mean? How much canvas, right? I know a lot of us might be sitting here like, what the heck? Well, everybody, where's somewhere that we can look to get a better picture of what we might be looking for? Where can we turn our heads? Where can we turn our attention to reinforce what we're looking for? To figure out how much canvas mean, right? How much canvas? What does that mean? Hilda, the answers. Look at the answers, everybody. What do the answers say? The answers say 6 square feet, 8 square feet, 12 square feet, 24 square feet. Everybody, what does that mean? Square feet. What math idea are they giving us as the answer? What is that? What did I say earlier? Blank is just feet. Blank is square feet. Blank is feet cubed. Square feet is area, right? Perimeter is just feet. Area, square feet. Volume, cubic feet. Yeah. Everybody, does that make sense? These choices here tell us that what we want is the area. We want the area. We want the area. Again, that is area. Units, square units. Square units mean area. Square units mean area. Square units is area. Again, regular units, so let's see if you can find it over here. I had it over here somewhere. Where was it? Where were we? Which right there it is. Boom. Again, perimeter is just feet. Area, square feet, volume, cubic feet. So if you want to take a picture of that, yep, we did definitely go over that earlier. Go ahead, take a screenshot. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. So with that, no regrets. Let's move forward here. Let's get this done. So going back, we want the area, and we definitely want to know that if we are looking for area, everybody, yes or no? Does the formula for area that you use depend on the shape? Yes, absolutely. It absolutely depends on the shape, right? Because if you have the area for a triangle, that's one formula. Area of a rectangle, that's another formula. A trapezoid, that's another formula. So you got to know a circle, another formula. So you need to know what shape you're dealing with, right? So if you know that you're looking for area, what is your shape? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skim the problem and I'm going to see if the shape is given to me. If I just skim through it, again, read the story briefly. Oliver is buying a canvas to paint for his parents' anniversary. That's cute. Good job, my man. The artwork is going to have the shape of a right triangle. Right there. So we're dealing with a triangle. Everybody, yes or no? Do we understand that this problem now, what we want is to find the area of a triangle? Yes or no? Do we understand it now? Because again, the answer choices say square feet, so that's area. And we're told that with the painting, the canvas that we're talking about, it's a right triangle, but a triangle nonetheless. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kindly remind myself that the area of a triangle is 1/2 of the base times height. So I can also write it like this to give myself less of an anxiety attack. Base times height over 2. Move that down right there. Okay, sweet. So now moving forward, I'm going to continue reading the story. And anytime I'm presented with a number, with a unit or whatever, I'm going to write that information down. But again, we're here first to just take in the story. We want the area of that canvas, which means the area of a triangle, because it is in the shape of a triangle. And when I read through the information again, he wants it to be life-sized. It'll be as tall as he is and as wide at the bottom as his easel, which is the stand that painters use. I don't even know if that says easel or easel, and I wrote this problem, but I just looked it up just to see what it was. Okay, cool. So then it says, oh, wait, hold up. What do we see again? It says the canvas is going to be as tall as he is. So if I know how tall Oliver is it true that I'll have the height of my triangle? Yes or no? If I know how tall Oliver is, will I have the height of the triangle? So great. Everybody, what I really want you to understand is that every time we mention canvas in this problem, we mean triangle because we're told that the canvas is in the shape of a triangle. Okay, cool. So with that, bam, it's as tall as he is, and he is 6 feet tall. So that's great right there. He is 6 feet tall, and it's as tall as he is. So that's 6. That's 6 right there. So let me write that here. Area equals. So my base is going to be, or not my base, but my height is going to be 6. Okay, is there a base here? It says it's going to be as wide at the bottom as is easel. Okay, as wide as the bottom as the easel. So if we know how wide the easel is, doesn't that sound like the base, everybody? Doesn't that sound like the base? As wide as it is at the bottom, that's the base of a triangle. Okay, great. It says the easel is 2 feet wide. Perfect. Is this problem a problem that might make you overthink? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's a straightforward problem. There it is. We put the 2 in there. We go ahead and take a look at this. A equals 2 times 6 divided by 2. Okay. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. You can also take a look here and say, hey, that cancels out. So either way, area equals 6 square feet. And there you go. And your answer, your correct answer, will be A. So, did I write a lot of unnecessary information in this problem? Absolutely. I could have literally just said, find the area of a right triangle with a base of 2 and a height of 6. That's literally all this problem was. Find the area of a triangle that has a height of 6 and a base of 2. We just have to fluff it up with all these words, but that's going to be up to you to have that endurance to read through the problem and know how to get to what you're looking for. So did anybody here get caught up in all the extra information? And it's completely all right to admit it. Right on. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward here. Let's give it another opportunity. Let's try this out again. Let's do another problem. Again, do not assume that the next problem is going to have you find area. I can't guarantee that. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Start with the question and then go casually through the story and understand what's going on. Let's go. 3, 2, and 1. Try it out. What is the area of the mural? Okay, so right here. What is the area of the mural? Sounds good. So, cool. That's what we want. Okay, so here's the thing, everybody. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to prove to you that a lot of you don't read the question and don't understand the story. Everybody, what shape is the mural? Okay, so notice how everybody who's answered so far says either triangle or triangles. Assuming it's a triangle. Okay, the thing is, no, the mural is not a triangle. The mural is made up of 3,200 triangles. We have to make sure that we understand this because although this is a very minor detail, especially when you're just looking at, one problem, I get it. But this is one thing that we really need to pay attention to. It's not a square, it's not a rectangle, it's not a triangle. This mural could literally be whatever. It could be a blob. I don't know. All I know is that it's made up of 3,200 triangles. Right here, take a look. Everybody, right here. A mural is made of 3,200 triangles. And then it gives you details, each measuring blah, 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 blah. So everybody, do you understand that when I say, let's say like this is our mural. Let's say here to here, there, something like this, something crazy. That. If you just go zoom in all the way through and you say, okay, cool, we're going to go ahead and make this mural out of a bunch of triangles. This is what they mean. This is what it'll look like. Boom, draw a line there. Got a bunch of triangles here and there. Like, this is all I mean. That there's just a bunch of triangles inside, but you could literally have whatever in terms of the shape of the mural. Now, again, this is not something that I'm trying to make a big deal out of. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand that if the first thing you did was whip out the triangle formula without actually reading the story, you potentially may have made a mistake. So again, doesn't that look like a bunch of triangles that make up some quote mural, right? Could definitely connect this here and make it look more like a triangle. Right there, more triangles there, right? These are literally a ton of triangles. That's really all that is. But is the overall shape itself a triangle? No, that looks like some concave pentagon. I don't know, right? I don't know. But that's all I'm trying to say in terms of, don't assume that it's a triangle just because you saw the word triangle. We want the area of the mural. What shape is the mural? It says it's made up of 3,200 triangles. So what does that tell me? Again, what's the goal? Area of the mural. So what do I know about the mural? Step 2, my information. The mural is 3,200 triangles. And they're each measuring, read this, each measuring 2 inches at the base, 3 inches at the height. So everybody, are they implying that all of these triangles are the same? Yes, all of these triangles are the same. Each one of them is 2 inches at the base, 3 inches with the height. So if we go back to the question, again, it's all about the question. What is the area of the mural? The mural is 3,200 identical triangles. So is it fair to say that to get our answer is going to be the area of one triangle multiplied by 3,200 to get 3,200 of them. Is that fair to say? Since we want the area of the mural, and we know that the mural is literally 3,200 triangles, find the area of one of those triangles and blow it up, multiply by 3,200, and we're good. Does that make sense? Richard Carter, I'm glad. Sebastian, I'm glad. All right. So let's go ahead and put in that work here. What's the area of one triangle going to be? Right here, area equals, again, the base times the height, all over 2. And so what that's going to give us, again, we saw it here, 2 inches at the base, 3 inches at the height, plug that in, 2 times 3 over 6, which is going to equal, 2 times 3 over 2, 2 times 3 over 2, get some cancellation, or 6 divided by 2, either way, and you end up getting 3 inches for the area of 1. 3 square inches. And again, that's one triangle. And so what we do now is we are going to multiply that by 3,200. And so what we receive as the final answer is going to be 9,600. A total area of 9,600 square inches. And there we are. Boom. So did that explanation help anyone out here? I saw someone take their hand down, so I'm assuming I answered your question. Let me know if that made sense. Like truly, let me know truly if that made sense. And if you want to take a picture of that. I really do like that mural. The smaller it gets, it looks a little cool. But I really truly hope that you start seeing word problems as not like purposefully trying to trick you. It's really just that you have been looking at it the wrong way the whole time. It's the same thing as saying, hey, I'm going to hand you this piece of paper on how to, do what I need you to do, the instructions for the day. And you start reading it and you start getting mad because it looks confusing. And I'm like saying, what do you mean? And then I take a look at your paper and I just say, well, just, you got to read it the right way. You got to approach the situation the right way. So that's what this is all about, everybody. Destination plan follow. If you've heard my old videos on that, or what do you want? What do you have? What's the connection, right? So always, always, always start with the question and branch out from there in the story. Let's go ahead and try one more problem out, everybody. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. This one I'm going to give you 2 minutes. This one could be a little shorter, but let's go ahead and try this out. So first things first, question is, how many cans of white paint does Martin need? So everybody, is it true that so far we don't know what the question's asking us to do? We know we're looking for the number of cans of white paint. So how many cans of white paint? That's what we want. But it's not obvious yet, like what we need to do or if there's a formula, right? It's not obvious yet. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. So is it clear to you that what we want, everybody, is the number of cans of white paint? That's what we want. We don't know what that means yet, but that's what we want. So we have got to get used to being okay with that, okay? Not every question is going to tell you the exact math you need to do. Let's go through the progression here. Step 2, what information do we have? And again, the information that we have, I'm looking for anything that's connected to the cans of white paint. That's really what I care about. What do I have? I'm looking for any information related to the cans of white paint. Let's read the story. So in the sense of a story, we're saying, hey, Martin is painting a mural of a boat at sea. Okay, cool. Can you imagine Bob Ross painting a boat right there in his office? I sure can. Used to watch that all the time as a kid, right? So cool. We got Bob Ross painting a mural of a boat at sea. The sail is triangular and has a base of 8 feet and a height of 12 feet. Okay, so let me just make sure that I take some of that information in. I saw that the sail is triangular and a base of 8 feet, height of 12 feet. And then it says, each can of white paint needed to paint the sail covers 11 square feet. Ah, okay. So let's highlight that as well. And let's really understand what that means. Each can of white paint needed for the sail, it's 11 square feet. So here we go. Let me write this information down. But before I write the information down, let's tell you the connection. Here's the connection, everybody. When you ask how many cans of white paint that you need, we're trying to cover the sail on the canvas, you know? And so everybody, when you think of it, is it true that what we're trying to see is how many cans of white paint will fit onto the sail to paint the sail? Is that true? How many of these will we need to fit into that? Yeah, it's paint, so you don't typically say fit. You say how much of it can cover it. But either way, is it true that we're saying, hey, how many of these cans do we need to paint this sail? Okay. And similar to that other question, what operation is that? What operation is that? Similar to that other question, what is that? Division, exactly. We're dividing the area that the sail covers by the area that each can of paint covers. Because if you divide this total space by the space of each can, you're gonna get how many cans you need. Because again, division tells you how many of this fit into that. And that's exactly the connection there. Notice how we didn't even talk about the numbers yet. All I know is that since I have a triangle, I'm given the ingredients for the formula, and I'm telling myself that every can covers that much area. Well, guess what? We're dividing these areas. We're dividing these areas here, not multiplying them, we're dividing them. So we're going to say the area of the sail divided by the area of each can of white. Each can of white paint. And so before I continue, does that make sense from an intuitive standpoint? I know it's 8 o'clock, guys. Please allow me just 2 minutes here just to make sure we get this down. But do we understand that? To find out how many cans of paint we need, we're trying to figure out how many cans can fit onto that sail.
Hey, really quick before we continue, if you're watching this, you've likely already been to one of my classes, And if you haven't been to one of my classes, remember to check that schedule. The link is right up there and in the description of this video. That way you can understand when my free classes are and my Access Program classes are. That way you can keep raising your score, knowing what topics we're doing, and get the job you want. So again, click there or in the description to see when the classes are and join one for free. I'll see you there, my party people. Let's get back to the action.
So there it is. So in doing that, the area of the sail, it's a triangle, and we're given base of 8, height of 12. So we can say 8 times 12 over 2. That's the area. That's the formula for the area. Okay, great. And so 8 times 12 over 2, you can say that's going to be 96 divided by 2. Or you can go ahead and say that that's simply going to be 8 divided by 2. That's going to be 4. And 4 times 12 is 48. And then over here, everybody, what was the area of each white can? What was the area that we were given? What was the area that we were given there? 11, right? 11 square feet. Okay, great. Sounds good. So all we need to do now is then divide the 48 by 11. And everybody, what is that going to give us? Is that going to give us 4 point something, right? That's going to give us 4 point something, right? Like 4.3 something. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, everybody. What's the answer going to be? 4, right? Nah, answer's not going to be 4. Think about it like this, everybody. 4.3. What does that 4.3 mean, everybody? What does that mean? What do we say? If you divide the area of the sail divided by the area of each can of paint, you're going to get what again? You're going to get what again? What do we say we would get? Which is going to be the answer again. What is the answer? What are we supposed to get? What does that mean? What does that number mean? What is that number going to mean? That 4.3. What does that number mean? Somebody say it. The number of cans of white paint. Exactly. This says right here, 4.3 cans of white paint. Now, here's why the answer is going to be 5. Think of it like this, everybody. If your sail needs 4.3 cans of white paint, if I only use 4 cans of white paint to try to cover it, did I completely cover it? Yes or no? No, right? If it needs 4.3 and you only use 4, you don't have enough. Can you buy a can of paint cut in half? I don't know if I've heard a dumber idea in my life. So we need to go ahead and buy another can of paint because, hey, we need to cover that entire 4.3. So we got to buy the extra can. We got to buy the 5th can. And so the answer will be 5. That's why you round up in this case, because you need more than 4. You need 4.3, and you can't buy 0.3 cans of paint. That doesn't work. That's not the reality we live in. Hopefully, if life is a cartoon, maybe that can happen one day, but not today. Boom. And so with that said, my math party people, how are we feeling about this one? Feeling pretty good? I know I stayed a little longer. I know I should have managed the time a little better, but I was really excited about this lesson today to make sure that you guys understood this. How you guys feeling? Even if it's 4.1, Eliana, even if it was 4.1, you need 5 cans. Yeah. So I'm really happy that a lot of us, and it's okay if you got them all wrong, because the question is, did you learn? Did you find the mistake that you were making along, the whole way? Can you work on that? That's always what it's going to be about, guys. Always.
And as always, my party people, thanks for watching. You can subscribe with that button right there, and you can also see a link to a video just like this one right up there. But most importantly, if you want the program and you want to raise your score the right way, every step of the way with my support, there's that link at the bottom left. Go ahead, click that link, watch the video on how the program works, subscribe, and raise your score.